This is a Founding Media podcast.
Howdy, and welcome to Season 1 of Vibe Austin. I'm Mark.
And I'm Dan. You don't have to be from Austin to know that we've been a city with a reputation. And this reputation is all about our food, our culture, our music, and all the great things about this wonderful city. So as two diehard Austinites, we can't blame them.
You know, with all the stories and myths about Austin floating around, along with the healthy amount of newcomers that we welcome every single day, a lot of people start to talk about the questions about Austin. What's Austin? What's it like? In general, what's its vibe?
So Mark and I decided that it'd be best if we just hear from the people from Austin. So we're going to be interviewing people during this show that make this city the great city that it is. And while we can't guarantee that we're going to get 100% the answer of what Austin's vibe is, what we are going to do is we hope that with each and every episode, we hope to write a love letter to Austin.
So we're really excited to jump in and welcome our first guest, Austin-bred singer-songwriter, musician Gordy Quist. Before we jump in, we do want to take a moment to thank some local businesses that made this show possible and helped us bring this vision to life. Austin Title, Vista Lending, House of Strub, and Nest Financial were as excited as we were to get behind this and talk about Austin with you. Please show them some support by looking at the links in our show notes.
Say you wanna know how deep my love is. You say you long to hear those words of mine. So I ask, how deep is the ocean? How deep is the color in your eye? A simple glance, your eyes are mine, and I lose my breath and move and wonder. My words fall flat in all my lines until the tide pulls me under. You say you wanna know how deep my love is. You say you long to hear those words of mine. So I ask, how deep is the ocean? How deep is the color in your eye?
Welcome to our first episode of Vibe Austin. We're so excited to launch this episode. We thought this would be a great thing for Austin. So, Gordy, I welcome back. You and I have known each other for a while.
Yeah.
Really enjoy the conversations. You don't need an introduction, but for the new people that are coming to Austin, would you just talk a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure, yeah. Well, first of all, I'm honored to be on the first episode of this. Such a cool idea. I moved to Austin in 2004 for the music scene that's here. And I was just attracted to a city that was filled with songwriters and musicians and art, and moved here. And I'm grateful. I feel like my whole career is kind of owed to the scene here. I found a group of musicians that became my band, the band of Heathens, for the last 17 years. So yeah, I tour in the band of Heathens, and I have a recording studio here called The Finishing School. And I'm married. My wife, she moved here before I did. She went to college here and played soccer at UT. And so
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I have 2 kids. They're born here. So I feel like even though I didn't grow up here in Austin, I've been here since 2004, and I love Austin.
Well, thanks for being on our show. I mean, it's so honored. When Mark and I started chatting about vibe Austin and what we wanted to create for the love of the city, right? We were thinking about music, and we thought, man, who represents Austin? And you and I have known each other for a while. I'm like, we got to get Gordy on, because Gordy's got some
You said
great
that right
music.
away.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so went over to the house and started like checking out some of the songs you got, and we picked the song and hope everybody in Austin loves this song, because we thought this is we know, and we'll get into. I want to get into the origins of the song. What we thought the adaptation was, how deep is your love of Austin? So, because we all love Austin. So you said you've been here how long?
I guess I've been here 18 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
Same. I've been 20.
22.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
at what point do you get to say you're
I'll
from
tell
Austin?
you when. My story, Gordy, is not too different from yours in that we got here, we embraced it. Austin embraced us. It embraced me like it embraced you. And then I like to say I've made Texans. I have 3 kids of my own. So once you've made Texans,
Okay, all right.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
I've got one.
So we've all created Texans, and
Yeah.
we're their leaders, right?
Yeah.
So like we're Texan. I've been here 22 years, and that's as long as I've been anywhere else. I grew up in Arizona, and so at this point, man, I'm here and I'm not leaving.
Mark, I want the audience to get to know a little bit about us.
Yeah.
Because as this idea spawned, it was our conversation that said, let's get this going, and it was really interesting. Is that we both had the same thought, and we were just getting to know each other. I'm like, whoa, we got so similar in our ideas, but also I've been here 20 years. You've been here 22.
Yeah.
Both business owners. So just talk a little about your business entities, because I
Sure.
this is how this is born.
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I got here to Texas, like most people, I like to say, guys move for 2 reasons, either a girl or a job. And I moved for a girl.
Okay.
And I got myself a Texan, a native, and, I didn't know why I was here yet. And I'll be the guy that admits openly that I was a little bit of a hipster chip on my shoulder guy when it came to Austin initially, because everybody loves it so much.
Yeah.
And anyone I met from Austin that I met outside of Austin was always just like, can't wait to get back to Austin, So I didn't understand it yet. And a little bit of the sort of like Texas nationalism was a bit of a turnoff to me at the time.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit like a skeptic and a cynic initially. And it didn't take long, to realize and figure out what was so lovely. It wasn't just the art or the music or, the food that I experienced. It was like the people. It was the people.
Yeah.
And I remember driving with Jessie, my oldest son's mom, in the car, and everyone waving. And I thought she knew everyone in town, And so that is a memory that sticks with me. And it sort of, in my mind, sort of illustrates or, just sort of underscores the nature of Austin, which is to be friendly, collaborative, and inviting.
Yeah.
So.
And more about your business.
Yeah, for sure. So on that note, Austin being a friendly, collaborative, and inviting, I was able to start my own brand of real estate in 2007,
nice.
Which I don't think would have happened in many other cities.
Nice.
For a young guy who didn't have family history or roots in real estate, to be able to start up a company that is now, established and embraced, and I'm very, proud and grateful to say I believe a recognized brand in Austin.
Right.
And when Austin is so known for its local brands, right, and its iconic signage, I always loved how much, the iconic signage and things.
Yeah.
So to have a brand, a stamp, and a sign in Austin that people recognize, man, for me, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm Strub Residential. The House of Strub runs 5 different real estate companies.
Yeah.
And, I wouldn't want to do it anywhere else.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Love it. Well, when Mark and I, just kind of fill in the story for you and also the audience, started chatting, I was introduced through a PR firm because I run Founding Austin and also have Nest Financial and now Founding Media, which produces podcasts for corporations. But we got introduced to a third-party PR firm, and it just one of those things was pre-COVID, and I never got to that email till afterwards, and you and I just started, it's like, okay, after COVID came out, it's like, I'm going to start reaching out to people again, go to my emails, and your email was on the list. And so went over and saw this beautiful office that you've got, and we just hit it off because of the same business at the same time for the same duration.
Yeah, helping
and
people.
Also the love of we started immediately like the love of Austin. So
and that's what happens, right? I mean, it's basically coffee talk that turned into like a love affair with Austin, and we just had, it was an echo chamber of Austin, and so it blossomed from there. And
it's ever changing. So I love the joke that you told me. You want to share that joke?
Yeah, I do. My favorite joke of all time is how many Austinites does it take to change a light bulb?
Do you know that?
Mm-mm.
2. 1 to change the light bulb, and 1 to talk about how much better the old light bulb was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So that is interesting, because when I moved here, I'm honored to be on the show
Right.
as someone, a part of the
Yeah.
culture of Austin,
For sure.
because there are so many other people that I know that in my mind are so much more Austin, because when I moved here, everyone tells you, oh, you missed it.
Right.
Austin used to be cool. It's grown so much. It's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been my experience at all.
Mine either.
It has grown. It has
Yeah, for
changed
sure.
radically
Yeah.
in the last 20 years. But it's grown in a way that I still love the city.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
Yeah, obviously there's things that you're like, you miss about, oh, this staple was here, this place was here, this favorite place is there, it's no longer there. But to your point, I mean, it's ever changing, and it's always, like, life's always changing.
Everywhere is always changing.
I mean,
Yeah.
if we're not, we're dying, and I'd rather be in a changing city than a dying city, right?
Yeah.
So I love it. I embrace it. And like you, 22 years ago, it was the same story, man. I missed it.
Yeah.
and I mean, sort of foreshadowing what's coming up in the, further episodes and seasons of this show, it's going to be about some of those places that we miss and we mourn, but then we're going to talk about some new places that are pretty rad.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And on that note, we definitely want to, if you're available, get you back as a guest host, and bring some of the people that you think have been here for a long time, because it's all about trying to bring the voices of Austin.
Yeah.
Whole shows about, what does Austin mean to you? What's that vibe to you? So jumping into that, I want to talk about the music.
Yeah.
So you're close to the music scene a little bit.
Yeah. I moved here. I was attracted to the city because of the music scene, and right away found a crew of people back in 2004, 2005, 2006. There was a club called Momo's on West 6th Street.
Yeah.
And there was a really great scene of it was just a good place to hang out, meet people. Everybody was friendly, welcoming, collaborative.
Yeah.
It was, I remember playing when I finally got like a weekly gig there, which at the time that was like the thing you did, like to go anywhere, you got to land a residency, play every week, and grow it into something. And then that can be your launching pad to go to other cities or go on tour. And was fortunate enough to fall into a crew there. But, it was like, man, I got to take a piss. You want take the guitar, play a song, and then someone from the audience comes up and plays a song. And it just was it was a fun kind of, a bunch of people chasing adventure through music.
Yeah.
And Austin is known as being a music city, but it's the live music capital. It's not really a music industry city.
Right.
There aren't a ton of booking agents, publicists, managers.
Yeah, true.
Most of those people, it seems to be, that's Nashville, LA, New York.
Do you see that changing?
It is changing. There is more industry moving here for sure, but 15 years ago, there was a lot less.
Right.
And
you wanted to be in the live music versus
right. It was musicians not necessarily chasing fame and fortune.
Right.
If you wanted to do that, like you'd be in one of the industry cities where you're finding the connected manager and the connected people to help your career along. Austin was about musicians collaborating and playing live. It was about the live thing, and the people of Austin supported that.
Yeah.
Like they actually come out to see shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I mourn for in the changing of the city is that it's just so expensive now that, I mean, if you're going to live your life chasing that, which I did, you can't pay more than $300 a month in rent.
Right.
And that's what I paid when I moved here, and so that was a special time.
Right.
And frankly, I'm sure the people who were there 20 years before that
paid less.
said I had already missed
paid
it
less,
too.
they paid less.
Yeah. So, and my band in particular was kind of an accident. We all had individual sets playing one right after another at the same club on the same night of the week.
Nice.
And we got to know each other. And then it was like, well, hey, will you play keys during my set? I'll play guitar for you if you play keys for me.
Collaborative.
Save money. And and like, you get another member of your band in exchange for playing in their band. You're going to be there anyway, hanging out.
Yep.
And so that's my band kind of formed out of the culture of the Austin music scene at the time. And I feel really grateful for that. Everything I have in music kind of came from that, truly a gift from Austin.
I mean, yes, let me speak to that as well. I mean, that's, excuse me, one of the things that attracted, I knew that about your story, and it just like, for me, it just like personifies what Austin is, right? It's just like, it is what we're talking about here, where you experienced an organic growth of your following from people that were, invested and passionate about coming to see you. A friend of mine who's in music, his name's Dan Anderson, had told me that he used to tell every new musician, you need to play 200 gigs a year and make one fan per night, right? And grow it organically.
Nice.
Grow your following organically. I feel like that's how my business has grown. I'm super proud of. The roots are deep, and it just illustrates that collaborative thing where the musicians at the club were not tearing you down that night to feel better. They were actually wanting to build you up, to build themselves up, right?
Right.
I don't think that happens in many cities. I think that's a pretty uniquely Austin vibe.
I think you're right. I know when I moved here back then, it certainly, we were all very, I'm less aware of of that in other cities now,
right.
But at that time, for sure, this was one of the few places that was vibrant and alive, that it wasn't cutthroat competitive. It was actually collaborative.
Yeah.
And,
and I remember that about the live music too. When I moved here, I had no questions in my mind. Why is this called the live music capital of the world? There was no questions. I knew that I could see live music anywhere, anytime, all the time.
Yeah. Talk about anywhere. I have a memory, and this might have been 10, 15 years ago, of going into a Quickie Mart or some sort of fast food place. I mean, not fast food, just a
C-store.
Convenience store.
Yeah.
Gas up or whatever. And there was somebody playing in the aisle. They were playing music.
Or how about our airport? How cool the commercial airport was?
Yeah.
I remember during South by, there were musicians at a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
No joke.
Right.
So just everywhere. But to your, earlier point, Gordy, I'm glad you said it, so I didn't have to. Being a real estate guy, I'm, a little shy to talk about how expensive Austin's gotten, right? But I say it a lot, man. Where do musicians live anymore? And so I question: are we still the live music capital of the world? We're very much passionate and in favor of music, but that's one thing I want to talk about on this show. As we move forward, is that something that we've lost, or it just has to be embraced for what it has changed into?
I think the answer lies in both. I think that we definitely and we'll have various guests in the future that talk about, because I hear that a lot. I hear it as far as how do we retain some of what you were talking about, and also growth. I mean, it's there's no stopping the growth, and we've got to figure out how to embrace it. I want to chat about the song.
Yeah.
How deep is your love?
Oh yeah, Deep is Love.
Deep is Love.
Deep is Love. Yeah, that song I wrote for my wife, and I think it was maybe an anniversary present or something. I probably didn't have.
Do we need to get her permission to use it?
Yeah. We're all good there, but yeah, it's a song we recorded for. There was a record called Duende. We put out, I think, in 2017. But yeah, it's a fun one. It's one we still play live all the time. And
when Mark and I were over at your house, we were listening to the various tracks. That one just kind of hit home, and applying it towards our love for Austin, and it's just a beautiful song. So I want to
thank you for it. Thanks, man. It was a really cool experience too, to sit there with you and go through some music, and I felt I don't know. I was like, it's 22 years ago. It was just super cool. The house was different than we would have seen, 23 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Congratulations on that as well. But yeah, that was a really neat experience. So thanks for lending that, and also being here. Of course, we keep saying,
thanks.
What music scene today? Like, are the artists that you follow here in Austin that you love, or like, what's your favorite?
Oh man,
when you're out there listening to other music.
There's still a lot of really great music here. I mean, one of my favorite bands ever in Austin is the Greyhounds. I don't know if you know the Greyhounds, but really great. And now kind of a new band that they're a part of that I've recently gotten hip to is a band called Nuevo.
Okay.
and Nuevo.
What kind of music?
It's like Tejano. It's like soul music. It's
Nice.
like R&B.
Nice. Okay.
But it's killer. And David Jimenez, one of the guitar players in that band, I work with him a lot in the studio. He's one of my favorite guitar players. He's amazing. And he performs under the Last Jimenez name, but then he has band Nuevo, really killer. And then the Greyhounds are part of that circle, another one of my favorite bands here. But yeah, I mean, there's so much good music. There's a guy named Jonathan Terrell, who's a songwriter, kind of a poet, cowboy, wild man. He's really, really great, and good things are happening for him. He's been working hard. He had a kind of a rock band here called Not in the Face, and then he kind of has gone solo and shifted gears. But yeah, there's a bunch of good music, both old that people who've been around for 20, 30 years still around, and then there's. It seems like there's always new people.
Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear there are new people.
Is there a favorite spot, like music place that you like to go to, or is you just kind of go random places?
My favorite spots. I love the Continental Club. I love Sea Boys. I love the Saxon Pub for the songwriter stuff.
Yeah,
I love the Mohawk for rock shows.
Wow, all old school. Those have been around.
And then new school. Actually, the last show I saw Leon Bridges at the Moody Center.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And this is a guy who came up from playing Sea Boys when he started to like selling out 11,000 tickets at the Moody Center.
Our biggest, fanciest, venue.
Yeah, it's crazy to watch what he's done.
Yeah.
But in the Moody Center, the Moody Amphitheater, all new venues.
Right.
Even the Moody Theater is a replacement of the old ACL Theater.
Right.
Those are all in my mind.
Is that on Second Street? Is the ACL?
Yeah.
So
ACL.
now it's called Moody Center, or is it still ACL?
No,
there's three venues.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
There's three Moody centers.
venues,
There's where they do the ACL tapings now.
Right.
Is
that on Second Street?
On Second Street with the Willie Nelson statue
I
out
love
front.
that place.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's wonderful, and it sounds really great. It
I love
looks
the
great.
intimacy of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's the smallest of the three. That's the Moody Theater. Then there's the Moody Amphitheater, which is an outdoor amphitheater. Probably holds, I don't know, I would guess 5,000.
Part of an amazing renovation of Waterloo Park, if I'm not mistaken.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's truly amazing.
Yeah.
And it again, looks good, sounds good. It's great. I've seen a few shows there, and I think it's really great. And then I've also seen 2 shows at the Moody Center.
Same, yeah.
And that's the newest one.
It's a new one. It kind of replaced the Irwin Center, which the Irwin Center sounded horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the last show I saw at the Irwin Center was maybe Tom Petty, but which that was a great show.
A better basketball arena.
Well, it was basketball first,
right?
Whereas I think the Moody Center they've gone in.
Right.
It's
It will be
multi-purpose.
basketball, but I think it's music.
Yeah, they thought
first.
through the music part of it simultaneously. It seems like anyway. So yeah, I mean, both old and new venues.
Yeah.
There's still stuff going on. I think that musicians will find a way. I mean, New York, LA, they've been music cities.
Yeah.
Right.
People find a way. You might move to Lockhart or Buda or San Marcos. You might live on the outskirts, but still be participating in the culture of the Austin music scene.
Right.
Or you get creative and you pile a 5-piece band into a 2-bedroom apartment and make it work.
Yeah,
That's right.
So
that happens.
Yeah.
Well, that's what that's the big part of Austin's story, right? You come to Austin, but you end up, oh, well, I better live in, Buda, or I'm going to live, close as I can, but not quite in the city of Austin. And so that's a big part of my experience in Austin nowadays, is helping people understand, okay, if I'm going to compromise a little bit and I'm going to drive a little further to be here, which part of this alternative, my options, which part suits me the best?
Makes the most sense.
Yeah, and not just for distance, but for the vibe, for the culture. I think when you put your roots down and make a home for yourself, it's so much about your tribe, your village, where you find yourself relating to the people around you, et cetera. So that's a big part of Austin. We're a pretty small geographically city. We're highly populated, but not a big footprint. And so inevitably you'll meet people that, are Austinites, but live with an address that says Buda, Dripping Springs, Round Rock, etc. Yeah, but we're all Austinites in the heart, and Central Texas, more or less, is the Austin vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've felt this. I was talking with a friend of mine, Owen Temple, the other day about this, but in most careers, it seems like your 30s, 40s, and 50s is like where you like really hit your stride and make the most money, and kind of like that's the sweet spot, and you're kind of working towards that. Whereas like as a songwriter or a musician or an artist, it seems like your 20s and 30s is like, if you don't like get lucky or make something happen then, it's you
harder.
kind of have to do it then. It's like a young career. It's a weird thing.
Athlete or
and
something.
it's frustrating because I feel like most artists get better at their craft the older they get.
Yeah.
I feel lucky having, gotten a band off the ground for a career when I was younger. When I like, frankly, I look back, I'm like, man, I was like just figuring out how to like do this.
Right.
And so like for a long time, my 20s and 30s when I was in Austin, it was like a meet as many people. It was a big circle of people in my world. And as I've gotten older, I feel like my circle of people I care about, interact with,
Get smaller.
Yeah.
it's getting smaller. I think that's probably normal.
Yeah.
And Austin has kind of done both things really great for me because like you said, it's a warm city where people are welcoming.
Events everywhere and yeah.
Or just something for everyone. Like if I can plug the city again from a real estate perspective, what I love and enjoy is whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, et cetera, like I don't have to feel shy or timid about saying this is the city for you. So there's something for everyone. And your experience in your 20s is still going on today as far as like the collaboration and the excitement. And it might not be as much around music as it used to be, but it's around tech.
Software.
It's around, I work with bankers and people that I'm like, whoa.
Medical.
Medical, right? So it's there and they're coming up. And then, you hit your 30s and, okay, we're starting to figure things out. Yeah. And then, so it's similar. Yeah, it's still got that.
It's interesting how you put it because you are right. I mean, it's I think when you're younger, and I think this applies in business as well. I mean, I know it. I look back at my career, and when you've got more energy, you're just out there meeting and greeting and just building that network. And then as you get older and you've built the network or you built the skills and things of that nature, now it's more selective of who you're able to because you've made all these connections. So it's really interesting to see the parallels between music and
I think any career, and I think that I think you stick with something long enough and you figure out what you're doing and you find success. So I believe that if you're passionate about what you're doing, it will eventually come. And you do need more luck in music, I think, than you do in kind of business. But yeah, you stick with something long enough, and you can only do that if you love doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anybody you meet that's been doing one thing for 20 years, they've got to be good at it. You can only fake it for a little while, So I think that applies to all lines of business.
I want to talk food.
Oh yeah,
baby. Oh man.
See that reply?
Joy. Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite things coming into Austin 20 years ago was like, I'm small Texas, town, Hereford, Texas, 100,000 cattle, 15,000 people, and then moved from there to Amarillo and then to Midland and then finally to Austin. And the food was just different.
Yeah.
And there's more chains and that was the scene. Get to Austin and I have not been at a chain restaurant in like 15 years. The food is just amazing. So favorite restaurant, favorite place, favorite day of the week to go.
Yeah.
You have a place you like to go?
Well, the all-time favorite is Uchi.
Nice.
Okay, nice.
And I have to disclaimer, my wife now works with the Uchi group. But
favorite
before she started working there, she actually got approached to work there, and she took the interview because it was our favorite restaurant.
Now you get discounts.
Yeah, so now it's great. I get to eat there more than once a year. Now,
Nice.
But no, I love Uchi and Uchiko, the sister restaurant. But the other thing, like my more like regular go-to, the Mexican food here, Tex-Mex is incredible.
Sure.
And breakfast tacos are kind of the fuel for my recording studio.
Yeah,
We kind of run off
100%.
breakfast tacos.
Yeah.
So I love Veracruz. I love Taco Deli. There's a place, Nono's, near my studio I love.
I've never been to Nono's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the joy I get to experience in creating podcasts and meeting different people is I get to hear like, what are your favorites? So then I can go try. So I'm going to have to try none.
I mean, that's what we do. When I have, clients come to town in the morning, after we've gotten together for the day, where'd you eat? What'd you have for dinner? And if they didn't get something amazing, and then I'll make sure I give them some tips for the next time. But I don't automatically force my favorites on people. I like to see what they discovered, what they got out of their Yelp app, or what I love to tell people is, because we keep saying, it's such a friendly city, is ask people.
Right.
Like, get out there and ask anyone, and they'll tell you. Other cities, like, I'm not telling you because then those will get too busy. I need my reservation, not you. Not in Austin.
I
can't wait
think
to
the
share.
pie is always getting bigger
Yeah,
here.
it's getting bigger and bigger.
Tacos, my favorite, my number one place is Taco Flats.
Oh yeah, I love Taco Flats.
Taco Flats is amazing, and they just built two other. They just expanded like I think this week or.
Burnett's the original one, right?
Yeah. Fell in love with that, and
they do a great job.
I now go to the one here on 12th in West Lynn. It's amazing little.
Got the
little
jalapeno
outdoor
margarita. They got
it's good stuff.
Yeah,
they do a great job. And I'm glad you mentioned 12th and West Lynn. When I moved to Austin, I was a vegetarian, and West Lynn Cafe. I don't know if you guys
I've never been there.
Aware, but it was the first place I ever ate where it had white tablecloths and vegetarian menu.
Oh wow.
And that was special. That was really cool. It was an Austin thing to me, and that was called West Lynn Cafe. And it's morphed into a few things since then.
I'm glad that you said that, because that is one of the things I respect a lot about Austin is how no matter what your diet is, there's people embrace that. The restaurants embrace it, and they're like, oh, you keto, let's go. You do
There's
this, or
nothing too weird,
there's nothing too weird. Just get it done, and you'll find restaurants that do it that way.
And that's to the point of less chains. We're so spoiled.
Yeah.
I forget until I go on a road trip.
Yeah.
I just recently drove from Boulder to Austin, and oh boy, it's bleak out there, man.
well,
And
abundance.
So I did. You mentioned Amarillo, and I was like, oh, I'm so tired of eating, whatever. But I found a great little healthy spot in Amarillo with, food, Whole Foods made fresh,
cool.
and it was great. But it was I had to dig deep.
Right.
Yeah.
Try going on tour.
Right. Yeah. You got to bring stuff.
Yeah, you got to bring stuff. Yeah. We have for 5 or 6 years we had two guys eating vegan in the band.
Oh wow.
And
Stuff
go through like middle of Kansas, and it was like
chicken fried steak.
One time we were at a restaurant, and the waitress asked one of the guys who was eating vegan what he said, well, can you do no dairy, no all the things, no meat, and she's like, God, she was like totally flabbergasted, like, why would you?
Right.
And we were like, oh no, he's vegan, like and she had no idea what it was. It's a thing. And her response was, man, that's no way to live.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've also gotten when I'm eating vegetarian, we have chicken. No, problem. We have chicken. Yeah. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. My other nicer place that I love is fish is Perla's.
Oh yeah, Perla's is great.
I love that. I love it for not only the food, but also just that big tree on the outdoors,
the deck
and just like people watching.
Mm-hmm. It's South Congress.
Austin
we
right there.
We could have
right
an entire show about South Congress.
Yeah.
It's MMH, which you mentioned, a great restaurant by a great restaurant group that is here local and doing good things beyond even just the food scene. That nails it.
What about
for me,
let's rotate now. It's your turn.
No, please. I was waiting for my turn. I have this thing that is a little, again, like hipster tendencies, where it's like I have the menu of me. So I like to differentiate a restaurant as if it was here when I got here, or it's newer. And so I like to get a good balance and a good mix all week. I eat out all the time, kind of a little bit of old and a little bit of new. But hands down favorite, Fonda San Miguel.
Oh, I
still
love
to
Fonda.
this day. Yeah. Just
Tuesday night happy hours.
Anytime.
The
Sunday brunch, ridiculous.
It's all good.
Fonda San Miguel all day, any day. And then, the Mexican food. I grew up in the Southwest. I grew up in Arizona. It's just in my blood. I look for Mexican food, Tex-Mex, but more, interior and yummy, yummy stuff. So Julio's on Duval and Hyde Park.
Oh, that's a newer one, yeah.
Mhm.
But I was familiar with Julio's because they were out of Dallas.
Oh, really?
20, 30 years ago.
This one, Julio's is originally in
El Paso?
from Clarksville.
Oh, no.
Nope, just a one family restaurant.
Got it.
Clarksville moved to Hyde Park many years ago. Yeah.
Different one then.
Yep.
Different
a
Julio.
local for sure. Different Julio.
There's
Imagine.
more than one Julio, imagine
And
that.
then Curas, man.
Oh, Curas,
Ooh,
yeah.
Come on. Get yourself anything on a red corn tortilla, but I recommend vegetarian tacos and a red corn tortilla with a Oaxacan coffee. Done. All right.
No.
So it's most of my recommendations are going to be
Do you still eat
south of the
vegetarian?
border.
Most of
No, I don't. No. I moved
Been there,
out.
done that.
That's one like Bolden Creek Cafe.
Oh, yeah?
for,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
vegetarian,
Yeah.
vegan.
You wouldn't even
awesome.
know.
You would know. It's
it
yeah.
doesn't broadcast we're vegetarian
No,
because it doesn't have to.
it's just good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good food. Yeah. So I've got a lot. I could go on all day. Again, let's have a whole episode about food. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's part of the fun is we'll bring the different guests
For
in and
sure.
we'll talk about their
For sure.
favorite food.
Yeah.
What we're experiencing a ton of growth. My thought is, are there any myths that you want to dispel, or is there any things that you've heard about Austin? You're like, this is not how I feel about it. I mean, you mentioned one at the onset, which was
just like missing.
Yeah.
Like whether it was
Mhm.
you've already missed it or not.
right.
Like whether the Driscoll Hotel is haunted or not, like those kind of myths.
Yeah.
This sounds ridiculous, especially given the summer that we've had.
Oh yeah. The cool summer.
Yeah. And my air conditioning is out right now at my
Oh,
house.
wow.
So that's especially why I was running late this morning.
Oh, boy.
But I would say the heat.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to school in New Hampshire, so I experienced like the brutal cold
Mhm.
for a couple of years of my life.
Yeah.
After growing up in the heat in Houston,
Mhm.
which is way worse because it's humid.
Right.
Mhm.
It's bad.
Mhm.
It's hot.
The summers are hot.
Right.
But in the same way that when you're in the snow,
Right.
people say, "Oh, your blood thickens." You get used to it,
Yeah.
and which is true. Like you just
Right.
learn how to live with it and
Yeah.
live
Oh, yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
It amazes me how in the heat, I mean, I'll go out and ride a bike at 100 degrees temperature, but go down the trail and there's shade
Yeah.
and it's fine.
You just
you have
get
to
used to
acclimate
it.
it, yeah.
And that's
And
the
you-
difference about humidity too. If you get in the shade when it's drier, you're
Yeah.
better off.
So I don't know if I would say it's not as bad as it sounds,
Yeah.
because it's bad.
Right.
And it's especially bad if you like go to Colorado or Utah. You go somewhere else
yeah.
in the summertime,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're like, oh wow, it's not like this
Right.
everywhere.
Right.
Why do I live here? Like
Yeah.
I ask myself that when I go to these
Right.
places.
I
Why do I
know.
live in Texas?
But then you get back
but-
and you remember.
Or you get back and you just get into the routine of like
Yeah.
what you do in the summertime, which might mean going to Barton Springs or
Right.
like there are things to
Water
do
holes.
with that.
For sure.
I don't know. I feel like I've learned it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Same.
And I think if you're here long enough, you kind of, I mean, yes, you complain about it.
Right.
It's
We-
hot.
we have
but
to.
It doesn't bother you as long as your AC is working.
As long as your AC is
Well, that's the
working.
thing. So
Yeah.
if anyone, for those listening to this outside of Austin that haven't experienced it yet, not everyone realizes or understands that we live in air conditioning. Everything's air conditioned.
Yeah.
There's parts of the country where that's, not normal. So know that. And the fact that we are a big water city. People don't realize that we're out on the lake. We're at Barton Springs. We're getting relief from the heat.
Mhm.
And then we stay inside when it's crazy, just like you would if there's a blizzard
Yeah.
in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
You're not out. So we deal with it,
Yeah.
and there's ways to manage it. If it wasn't, then we wouldn't live here,
And also, 100%. But
Yeah.
also I enjoy the acclimation, like
Sure.
just getting out there, like definitely, especially if Austin's I would say, very big on health.
Mm-hmm,
And so you see so many people out there on the trail in the middle of the day and
Yeah.
kind of, they figured it out.
And
so-
to your point about New Hampshire, I would rather melt than freeze any day. Heat slows me down a little, but cold makes me mad. I don't do
Yeah.
well, I'm
Yeah.
like, "Argh." I don't get that way with the heat. I just know that it's time to, dress differently, stay inside a little more. You manage it. But cold, you can't really manage. Can't,
Well, there's two sides to that.
yeah.
Because heat, you can only take off so many layers
Yeah.
and you're still going to be hot.
Yeah.
Cold, you can bundle up
Yeah.
Yeah.
and get warm.
Yeah.
But the anger thing with cold, I get that because cold is clunkier.
Yeah.
Cold is frustrating
It is
and it's
to me.
wet and it's like
Ugh.
when you get inside somewhere and it's warm, you got to take everything off. And
Yeah.
but again,
Yeah.
you get used to it. I've lived in that, and
Right.
Anyway,
I do.
Yeah. If you're a survivor, you can
So-
complain about anything,
Yeah.
or you can find some.
Weather's a thing. Traffic's another thing,
Yeah.
but traffic's not LA traffic. And if you know how to
It's
We got
traffic.
that. Yeah.
People want to live
You
here.
just-
There's people here.
Yeah,
But it's
and
not
I feel
insane.
fortunate that I'm not driving
Right.
during rush hour.
Same. Yeah.
I got my schedule kind of
Yeah.
worked around that.
Yeah. So
I mean, the traffic is
tips
real.
for those that have moved in or moving in.
Yeah, shift your hours.
And
And that's
and I-
pretty normal.
and I feel
Very
like
common.
One of the pluses of COVID was all the people learned how to work from home.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So you can now shift your work hours. So, but yeah, I think
That's pretty common these days. And traffic moves. I was just recently in LA and remembered what it is to just literally sit on a highway, but it moves. It's
Right.
not that bad. It's
Yeah.
all relative. You know what? Was it better 20 years ago? It was. Get over it. It's not that bad. Yeah.
What would you like to see? And this is a question for both of you guys. What do you like? Where do you like to see the growth go from here? It's kind of a dum, 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 dum.
Right.
Like
Where-
it stay where it's at, or just continue, like become an LA, or
I mean, selfishly, I mean, I'd love it to stay where I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's like with my kids growing up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I every point along the way. Actually, every point after they started sleeping through the night, once that started happening, I feel like I want to freeze time.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
My kids are 9 and 7 now, and I would love to just like freeze life and just be here forever.
100%.
Yeah.
And I feel that way about I have felt that way about Austin each step of the way,
Right.
even though people may have been telling me no, it was way better before.
Yeah.
I enjoy it still, and so
I feel the same, and I've got a 19-year-old,
yeah, it keeps getting better, right?
and
Mhm.
it's different.
Yeah.
It's different, and it, especially, and I'll go back to kids, and I think we can apply, maybe apply some to Austin.
Yeah, I agree.
Is you enjoy every stage. Like I don't miss her being 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, even though I've got videos and I was, oh, it's so cute, and this and that, but the adult that she's becoming and the partner you are as a parent to help her become that adult is just a very gratifying and just another portion of life that allows you to grow along with it. So I think that, to your point about freezing in time, yeah, who knows what she'll, going from 19 to 25 to 30, it'll be just a whole different experience. And
It's a good analogy. It's fairly deep. We're like children and parenting and then being a citizen of Austin. I mean, what if we did freeze our kid at 10? We would have missed out
Yeah.
of what they are, my 17-year-old.
Yeah.
So what if we did freeze Austin 10 years ago? I don't know. I like it better right now. So yeah, it's a tempting thought, but I think it's really gratifying and rewarding to be part of what it is becoming all the time.
one of the things, though, and I think part of the great thing about this show and why one of the things that we wanted to experience is, and we'll bring a lot of people that have been here for a long time and get their vibe, but community and make sure that as people are moving to Austin, understand who we are or who composes Austin and what they love most about it, so that even as it's changing and growing, the politeness and the just people are turning on their signal light, let them in.
Come on, man.
This is the type of personification that Austin is.
That's
right?
my only concern about growth is just that we maintain the culture that is here. I was just recently in Houston, and I had a Houstonite in the car with me, and somebody would be trying to get over, and I'd be like, "Oh, come on in. I'm from Austin," and I was just making her laugh again. Come on over. I'm from Austin. Come in.
It takes you
And
2 seconds. Let them in.
Exact. Does not change my life to let
It
someone
doesn't.
in.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Road rage
So let's
doesn't need
keep
to
that.
happen. Just be patient.
Yeah.
I mean, here's something that I learned from a business coach that I really appreciate. She's been working with for like 6 years. She said, everybody's in a rush, but this earth is a circle and it rotates around the sun. We're not going anywhere. It's the same place. So I think if you think about that, time is just, the construct, and there's no rush. You just got to give yourself time and
Yeah.
be patient with people. And
Yeah. Austin has a chill vibe that we hope will continue.
That's it.
And I, the keep Austin weird
Yeah.
mantra. Austin is less weird than it used to be, for sure. It used to be a crunchy sleepy college town, with
I miss
pot-smoking
Leslie.
hippies.
Teaming with musicians.
And exactly, Leslie running for mayor.
Right.
And so we hope to retain some of that. And the cost of living, I think, naturally pushes out some of the people living on the fringes of
That
normal society.
exactly.
Right.
And so I think that's our challenge is, as people move here, I almost hesitate to come on a podcast like this because the secret's out.
Right.
But now we're like with a megaphone shouting how great it is because I truly do feel that way about the city.
Yeah.
But I also don't want it to just explode in a way that ruins what we have, what we love about it. And so I think that's the whole secret is how do you accept the people. Like I tell my kids all the time, hey, it's cool to be weird.
Right.
If someone tells you you're weird or is making fun of you because you're different, like
That's awesome.
look at it as like something cool because all the people who changed history and did cool things, most of them were viewed as weird
Oh yeah.
for big portions of their life
Who wants to
until
be
they were cool.
And
Who wants to
also,
be average?
that's a vocal minority that typically calls out the weird. A lot of people are admiring that because they see that, it's the unique individuals that have changed things. The vocal minority is who we kind of want to quiet down in this society of Austin. And that's why we were, this is what sort of prompted and promoted us to want to do this show, is to talk about that idea of you came here because you wanted what we have here. So don't come and then kind of ruin it by bringing what you're escaping.
Right.
So whatever you're escaping from to get to Austin, like leave that there, man, and just be cool. Just be cool.
It's like people moving downtown to condo. I remember maybe 10 years ago, I feel like there was an issue where all these condos were going up and everyone was complaining about noise, live music.
Right.
It's like, wait a minute, like everybody moved here because of the live music, but now, so it's like whatever you love about the city, hopefully you're coming here because you love something about the culture.
Right.
Support it. Not only just by saying you love it, but go spend money, go pay for live music, go support the things that
Enjoy it.
Go to Waterloo Records, the restaurants, all these things that we love, like we need to support them and
make sure they stick
keep
around.
it alive. Yeah.
100%. I think we'll end this here. This has been a wonderful episode. Thank you again, Gordy, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Fantastic.
Great talking with you guys. You say you wanna know how deep my love is. You say you long to hear those words of mine. So I ask, how deep is the ocean? How deep is the color in your eye? A simple glance, your eyes are mine, and I lose my breath and move and wonder. My words fall flat in all my lines until the tide pulls me under. You say you wanna know how deep my love is. You say you long to hear those words of mine. So I ask, how deep is the ocean? How deep is the color in your eye?
so far apart, alone in need. Some hotel keys and long drop calls. I miss my friends and my family, but I'm missing you most of all. You say you wanna know how deep my love is. You say you long to hear those words of mine. So I ask, how deep is the ocean? How deep is the color in your eyes? How deep is the color in your eyes?
Wow, what a great conversation.
I really enjoyed it.
My favorite part was, and what I'm going to enjoy about this whole show is learning the favorite nuggets as far as food goes. I'm going to try some of those.
Always a good topic in Austin when it comes to food. The thing I enjoyed most was just how easy it was to talk to a big rock star like Gordy. The conversation was fun and flowing, and just reminded me of so many things I love about Austin.
Thank you, Gordy, for being on the podcast and also sharing your music. We're honored to have your music as our music that we've chosen for this show and for the love of Austin. And thank you so much for tuning in to our first episode of our new show, Vibe Austin.
Before we go, we wanted to share with you an unsponsored and shameless plug for a local nonprofit charity. Austin is all about community and all about giving back. And when we asked Gordy who he'd like to highlight, that was the Sims Foundation. And we'd like for you to support them and check out their work by visiting links in our show notes. They provide help and connection for musicians to providers of mental health services and things musicians need when they're staying healthy to provide the backdrop of what we love about Austin.
This has been a Founding Media podcast and was made possible by our sponsors Vista Lending, Austin Title, House of Strub, and Nest Financial. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time on Vibe Austin. Until then, peace.
Adios.